coow li di ci juddu dina ñëw du ñëw dañ koy arrest duñ ko arrest government bi yooyu yëpp di ci dem biñ demee nag ba ci jeexitalu novembre ñu gis ne wala ñu dégg itam ne jàpp nañ Sanna Manjang koo xam ne ñu bari tudd nañ ko ci wàllu comme tuumaal ko ne jongu la te it faat na ñu bari comme ci niñ ko tuumaalee woon ci TRRC bi coow lu jóg dafa doon waaj coup d'état dafa doon nangam loolu yëpp wax nañ ci dinañ ci indi ci biir waxtaan bi par force lu ma lay laaj tey koo xam ne liggéey nga ak victime si doon victime centre ak yu ci mel noonu yëpp ñu toog rek ne ex président bi mu annonce moom ne dafay dellusiwaat ak lu xew yëpp yéen bi ngeen déggee loolu noonu balaa ñuy ñëw ci arrestu Sanna Manjang bi nan la leen def lan moo nekkoon seen réaction laa bëgg a xam.
Well, jërëjëf. First of all, Jammeh announcement am bi well, he's a citizen of this country. Am na every right, comme any other citizen, dellu si réew mi. But Jammeh also is not an ordinary person. Well, he was a former head of state, ruled na dëkk bi for 22 years. Obviously, def na yu baax, and also, def na yu nga xam ne tamit, definitely it's not very nice for pour xam nga ñu reflect upon because ñaawteef yu bari happen na si jamono. So I think as a former head of state, pour mu dellu si dëkk bi foog naa dafa demand certain kind of protocol with the sitting government. Jammeh mënut a jóg rek naan dama dellu si ëllëg. Suñu seetee bu delloo gannaaw seet naka la fi génne. After the elections, there was an impasse. Economic was here. Ba ñu exit ci dëkk bi. Loolu yëpp xam nga dafa am lu xewoon ci dëkk bi. So and after that, government set up nañ a TRRC bu investigate human rights violations yu happen on si jamono. So yooyu yëpp feeñal nañ si ay story yu ñaawa si feeñ, enforced disappearance yi ñii rey nañ seen nit yi ñii torture nañ leen, unlawful detention ak yooyu noonu. So loolu yëpp feeñ na si TRRC. TRRC nag is not a court of law, it's a truth-seeking process. So ñoom seen finding lañ am. Jammeh and the others are adversely mentioned. So foog gaay taxaw si kanami loi pour setal seen boppa. Nit ki nag so ko allege something like presumption of innocent, before you find the person guilty. So everybody am na right pour defend boppam before a court of law. Why buñ déggee ne Jammeh mu ne dafa dellu si allegations is allegation. Tey suñ la tuumalee ne da nga rey nit lu government bi njëkk a def mooy arrest la yóbbu la si kanami loi, especially the law rey nit, loolu is a capital offense. So boobu they have to detain you, yóbbu la before a competent court of jurisdiction. Loolu yëpp process la. So Jammeh bu mu ne dafa ñëw ñun yëpp xam nañ ne, I think I was in a radio interview before, Jammeh ñun xam nañ ne maybe he was just trying to seek relevance. It's all politics is a game of, it's a vested interest. So nu nga mën a, draw some people, closer to you, you will do anything like that. But ñëpp xamoon nañ ne Jammeh will not come just like that because number one, amul passport bu moo traveler. Number two, there was no constructive engagement between mom and the present government pour mu wàññi ñëw si dëkk bi. It's not just like Sheriff Kijera jump, from Dakar ne dafa ñëw Gambia. Jammeh is not that. Jammeh is a big man. He was a former head of state before. So Jawara was out. Why Jawara jékki-jékki wu ñëw si dëkk bi just like that? There was, the engagement. They set up their modalities. Lu mu mën a ñëwee si dëkk bi. So Jammeh's case tamit noonu la mën a demee waaye du mën a jékki-jékki rek jël ticket jël flight ñëw Gambia. So that is an impossible thing. So coming to Sanna Manjang's case, Sanna Manjang is a fugitive. Dëkk bi dañ ko soxla pour mu ñëw answer to a series of crimes yu nga xam ne allegations yu nga xam ne ñi ne rey nañ ni 44 Ghanaians yi West African migrants yi seen issue baa ngi fële Haruna Jammeh di fi cousin Yahya Jammeh tamit issue maa ngi fi Deda Haidara and many others so foog naa loolu lañ gis tey gars yi charge ko you know I mean the issue of Deda Haidara Sanna Manjang Haruna Jammeh and the other guy you know Ndongo Mbuub you know so I think well he has every right to defend himself you know I mean the allegations so it has to be proved before a competent court of jurisdiction so I think everybody should be given that opportunity you know pour nga dem si court nga seetal sa bopp.
But comme jàpp bi ndax am na benn hope bu mu def ci loo xam ne dina ko def ci victims yi because xam nga ñu bari ñu ngi jàpp ne victims yi seeking for justice mbir mi dafa slow nangam na xam naa ñëw si mbiru TRRC ci kanam but like tey boo gisee ñu arrest ku mel ni Sanna Manjang ndax ba tey dafay déclare hope wala dafay tax ba tey dina nekk hope dina gën a tax xëy na boo leen xawoon nañ lose hope tamit dina comme ni ma ko waxee dina déclare seen hope arrest bi nan la moo def victims yi.
Arrest it doesn't mean a lot to the victims community, to be quite honest, because the affair of Sanna Manjang is just like a process of selective justice. You know, there are others, they did the same crime. They are accused of the same crime. The allegations see the same law. Sanna Manjang has a boss, that is, Sol General Solbaji. Solbaji was in the country, and I think he's here for more than almost 1.5 years now, to 2 years. And then Koyobu court. They were caught. And there are other junglers. They testified before the Truth Commission. You know, Nyom free. They are at large. And many others, Edward Singate and many others, Alaji Kanyi and many others. The same thing they accuse of. So government we don't have a very serious government. The Kubuga fully implement, the recommendation of the TRRC. Then this government they only act, you know, if they have any political gain, see Lunyodef. Basically, Lila. Then Buga come, they're going to chobangi bari, Yahya Jammeh issue big. It's a fanfare. Sanna Manjang case is a fanfare. Affaire Yahya Jammeh be more create the whole boss. See, Dekabi, Nyeponko, Wahanto, since November 1st, 38th of November, Yahya Jammeh, YouTube, anything, TikTok, everything. Yahya Jammeh. Victims are crying for justice. Nyepange wane, Yahya Jammeh sunyo fi Dekabi da fa jahaso, dugana fi genana fale. So what they have done is to work with Nyom Hamlin Sanna Manjang Fumneka. We all know. We all know. You know, we are all part of the system. We all know Sanna Manjang Fumneka. It's between Guinea-Bissau and Casamance. Gambia government ñoo gën a xam Sanna Manjang fu mu fanaan ak fu mu dugga ak fu mu génn ñoom ñoo ko gën a xam so to kill the temperature down they have to go after Sanna Manjang because they xam nañ ne Yahya Jammeh moom you know tegaaguñ ko loxo Yahya Jammeh mu ngi toog Équateur rek wala ñëw fii mu ngi toog foofu but period bi November bi it was very tense coow baa ngi bari so what they can do pour one victims yi ak dëkk bi ne we are acting and pour what the partners international partners because the TRRCB, it was funded by the UN Peace Building Fund and the Qatari Fund and the other the agencies like our development partners. Ñoom fund the entire transitional justice process. So they feel betrayed. They feel very disappointed with the status quo, with the current status quo. Swing government manage the entire transitional justice. So the security sector reform it failed. Government is more than 7 billion. And lustration, the vetting and lustration of the security sector, definitely effectively. Training capacity building we don't see anything. Basically what we are seeing is a fanfare. Organizing workshops across the world, Nyana say benefit, the senior government officer, the Minister of Justice, those that are part of the transitional justice process, Nyom Rekazine the benefit. Victims are dying in their numbers. They are not getting reparations. The TRRC recommended for 1,009 victims, reparations. Government, they made an initial contribution of $50 million. That was around 2019, you know. What did they do with that $50 million? They give it to the TRRC. TRRC was, supporting victims on their livelihood support and giving small medical support to some of these victims. Balance at the end of the mandate of the TRRC was $38 million. Is that enough to pay reparation to 1,009 victims? That is not enough. TRRC said recommendation, the extrajudicial killing, execution. They recommended for every family to get $500,000. And forced disappearance get about $450,000. And a scores of many others. You know, but what they did with the balance of the 38 million, about 671 no benefit from the 38 million, dollars victims. So new and one-off payment more, TRRC new make a recommendation that they have $50,000 and below. They had a one-off payment. They paid all their amount. So above 50,000, they get 19%. You know, and that money is still yet to be paid. The entire reparation package with TRRC living for victims is $237 million. What is $237 million to the government of the Gambia? They could have paid that. Victims here, at least, you know, you feel, they are compensated. Then we can start talking about reconciliation. Because all these cases cannot be tried before a court of law. The TRRC recommended about 70 perpetrators, to prosecute them. 70 perpetrators to prosecute them for what? You know, some of them, at least we can engage them with the victims, talk about the issues, we forgive. Court of law. There are severe crimes, you have to set a precedent, and that will be enriching our jurisprudence as well. And it will, deter others, our leaders, future leaders, to do the same thing. They could have done that, compensate the victims, and then open the avenue, for reconciliation, But they don't open any channel for that. Remedial pathways for medical assessment, medical treatment. Some of these victims are dying every day. I was just confronted by a victim a couple of days ago. She was on a the medical treatment program. Dem na fufu ñuna instead lo hobi we dafa gina was because city billing la. So we are still looking for a hospital somewhere pour yobu ko dem faj ko. What is the government doing? Nothing. Adama Barrow yobu na yaayam Dakar fay ñom ñoo xam 3 million la guy why they said not all the 3 million when they 1 point some even $1 million. Just for medical checkup, that is not the responsibility of our government. The president should have foot that bill. But we have victims that are dying. They could have taken all these victims and killed them. Hamba made it bisuwanye. It will be easy for you heal as a nation. What happened in Rwanda is worse than what happened in the Gambia. What happened, and the duration was very short. But several 100,000 people died. But they reconciled, they forged ahead, they built their nation. We could have done that, but with the support and the help of the government, with the commitment of the government. Ñu make sure the victims yi fompa nañ seen rongoñ. Loolu mooy neena pour ñu mën a toog ci table reconcile with their perpetrators.
All right. Dinaa ñëwaat ci yow